Please can you get yourself a cup of tea and a sandwich, and in your own time come and have a seat here. We can get started once you're ready. Thanks. Hello, can we start, guys? We're running late. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for attending this meeting. Welcome to this meeting, the ARIC AGM for 2025. Can you hear me? Everyone can hear me? Thank you. Attendance, you've signed in at the door. Could we have apologies, please, Madam Secretary?
We've got 104 apologies with signed up proxies. James Badcock, Ian Barker, Dave Barnard, Steve Barnard, Paul Bentley, Stuart Beverley, deceased A.M. Bissett, represented by his daughter Fiona Marks, H. Boshoff Sr., Georgina Brown, Glenbrook Jackson, Anne Butler, Alan Burl, Lindsay Campbell, Barbara Kaywood, Fergus Chance, Gordon Chance, James Chance, Selby Chance, Mike Clark, Jonathan Cocker, Daniel Conradi, Andrew Dawson, Craig Deal, Peter Padropoulos, Dolph Rath, Chris Donald, Giles Dorwood, Trevor Duxbury, George Eastwood, Judith Evans, C. Fade Herb, Hugo Ferks, Mike Freeland, Kath Gilbert, Ben Gilpin, Kevin Grant, Angelique Hamilton, Dave Hannay, Tim Henwood, H.E. Howland, Colin Huddy, Irving Hunter, Montgomery Hunter, Hannes Javna, C.J. Odendahl, R.E. Odendahl, Thomas Fenter, Norma Hymans, J.D. Nell, David Henson, F. Poseidon Note, R. Harvey, Erica Basson, William Henson, Darby Erasmus, Ian Pastello, B.K. Kaywood, P.J. Rausch, F.A. Stewart, Dennis Wenham, John F. Dudman, Taster Fries, Brian Trethsoven, T. Bronklehurst, P.R.R. Abbott, Huckle, and P. Trethwarren.
Thank you, Susie. Any other apologies? Neville Baker. Thank you. Trevor Gifford. Thanks. Okay, thank you very much. Third item is the minutes of the last meeting. Madam Secretary, would you like to read them out, or shall I? Right. You're a better reader than me. Okay.
Let me use your copy, Ian. It's a bit bigger than mine, I think. Minutes of the ARIC AGM dated the 27th of June 2024, held at Dandara Hall, Borrowdale, Harare, 1400 hours. Present: P. Ashton, Chairman; L. Philp, President CFU and ex officio Vice of ARIC; D. Berger, Vice President CFU; S. Miller, Director; H. Orphanides, ARIC Committee Member; P. Dardigan, ARIC Committee Member; A. York, CSC Member; R. Worley Birch, ARIC Committee Member, and approximately 40 other members. Taking minutes, Louise O'Connor. Apologies from G. Hattie, K. and G. Taylor, A. McGregor, R. Taylor, N. Baker, C. Tafts, A. Hossack, and B. Dardigan. The chairman thanked for all attending and called for the meeting to order. A moment of silence was held for John Laurie, Nick Swanepoel, and Rob Beverley, who had contributed hugely to past agricultural successes. The apologies were recorded above. Confirmation of the minutes dated the 7th of September 2023. Proposed by R. Worley Birch, seconded by H. Orphanides. Adoption of the chairman's report. Proposed by J. Perrott, seconded by H. Orphanides. The chairman's report from Patrick Ashton was tabled. Election of the committee members. The following members offered themselves for re-election on the ARIC committee: Patrick Ashton, Byron Dardigan, Stuart Beverley, Ian Kay, Ian Gibson, Robin Worley Birch, Ian McKersey, Toc Arnold, Len Thomas, and Richard Taylor. The chairman advised that many of the committee had served for over 5 years and required a 2/3 majority approval to continue. The chairman said it was an honour to serve as the ARIC chairman for the past 11 years and indicated he wished to stand down as chairman and offered himself for re-election as a committee member, provided there was a 2/3 majority support. The chairman thanked the following ARIC members standing down for their services over the years: A. Hossack and H. Orphanides. Adoption of the chairman's report, proposed by J. Perrott and seconded by A. Baisley. CFU President's report. Do you want me to read that? Yeah, it's not long. Can I read it? Yeah, no need to read it. Okay. ARIC Committee. P. Ashton put the following resolutions forward. Resolution 1. ARIC AGM recommends to Council that ARIC remains as constituted 1917. Proposed P. Ashton and seconded by R. Worley Birch. Votes in favour of Resolution 1, 27 votes. Votes against Resolution 1, 3. Resolution 2. ARIC recommends to Council that ARIC subscriptions remain the same for the 2024-25 term. Votes in favour of Resolution 2 was unanimous. The chairman acknowledged that he had received 10 applicants to take over the ARIC committee as follows: Angus Selby, Georgina Brown, Aidan Brooke-Jackson, Ian Kay, already on the ARIC committee, Ian McKersey, already on the ARIC committee, Stuart Beverley, already on the ARIC committee, Gordon Chance, Ian Barker, Dion Taron. In addition, Patrick Ashton advised the following old committee members were up for re-election as aforementioned: Patrick Ashton, Stuart Beverley, Ian Kay, Ian Gibson, Robin Worley Birch, Ian McKersey, Toc Arnold, Byron Dardigan, Len Thomas, and Richard Taylor were willing to take over from H. Orphanides and A. Hossack. 3 people, being Ian McKersey, Ian Kay, and Stuart Beverley, were up for re-election in both the old and new ARIC committee. Susie Haynes, a paid-up member of the CFU, indicated she had 61 proxies, all being confirmed members, to vote for the new 7 committee members aforementioned, and that Ian McKersey, Ian Kay, and Stuart Beverley were up for re-election. A vote was taken in favour of the new proposed 7 ARIC committee members, the 3 who were willing to be re-elected being Ian McKersey, Ian Kay, and Stuart Beverley. The vote was unanimous, making the following 10 the ARIC committee for 2024-25. Abrooke Jackson, Ian Barker, Gordon Chance, Georgina Brown, Angus Selby, Dion Taron, Mike Odendahl, Ian Kay, Ian McKersey, Stu Beverley. There being no further business, the meeting was closed.
Thanks, Susie. Matters arising, errors and omissions in those minutes? Any matters arising from the minutes? Could I propose and a seconder for the adoption? Oh, sorry.
I noticed in the minutes that the names of the outgoing committee are listed. Please would you confirm for me the membership status of these gentlemen at the time of the 24 AGM, the ARIC AGM, and then as well their status during the 23 AGM when a controversial resolution was passed. I don't know if you could help me with that.
I certainly can't. Hendrik, can I suggest that we get the answer to that, but in the meantime we press on and come back to it? Thank you. But in the meantime, can we have a proposal and a seconder for the minutes? Thank you. A seconder, please. Nick Brook, thank you very much. Dirk and Nick Brook. Thanks. We'll just press on while Susie digs through the records. Item number 5 on the agenda is the financial report. The ARIC subs are ring-fenced in CFU accounts, and they're used exclusively for ARIC costs. And as a result of that, we can actually have a financial report, which I don't think we've had in the past. The CFU accounts have not been audited yet. They can only be audited after the Congress. So these numbers are tentative, but they're indicative. Just try and find the numbers. The subscriptions for ARIC were $39,533. The expenditure has been $11,730, which is broken down into legal fees of $11,500 and IMTT of $230, leaving a net balance of $27,800. The legal fees relate to the recent case brought against the CFU in connection with the GCD, and the ARIC committee decided that this was a cost directly related to compensation and shouldn't be borne by the CFU, and they picked up that cost, and hopefully, since it's also a CSC matter, Zim and SACFA will reimburse us for some of those. Those numbers are not exactly right. There's a slight discrepancy on income of about $1,300, but that'll come out in the wash. Can I have a proposal and a seconder for those approximate accounts? or if there's any discussion. Thank you. And Dion Taron, thank you. Right, that's that one. It's now the Chairman's report. I hope you don't. Do you mind if I do it sitting down? Otherwise my papers will be shaking too much. Liam, President of the CFU, ladies and gentlemen, members of ARIC, observers and guests. I have the honour of presenting this report on the activities of the Committee of ARIC over the last 12 months. Your committee, consisting of Angus Selby, Georgina Brown, Ian Kay, myself, Stuart Beverley, Gordon Chance, Ian Barker and Dion Taron, were elected en bloc at the end of June 2024 for a 2-year term. You may be aware that the President of the CFU also serves on the committee as an ex officio Vice Chairman. The committee then elected myself and Dion Taron as Chairman and alternate Chairman, respectively, at the first meeting. Over the last 12 months, we've had 10 meetings. Your committee stands guided by you, the members. Our raison d'etre is to work towards what you, as our members, believe is and seek as fair compensation for our losses experienced under the Fast Track Land Reformation Program. Is it Reform Program? We should not be guided by any of our own personal views. Now, what I'm saying is the committee should not be guided by their own views, but by what the members want. ARIC, together with the Southern African Commercial Farmers Alliance, which is SACFA, the Matabeleland Group, and the Southern African Agri-Initiative Zimbabwe, SAIZIM, constitute the Compensation Steering Committee, as elucidated by the outgoing ARIC chairman in his address last year. ARIC is an active partner in the CSC project, and thereby serves to represent you at that level. The various aspects we have dealt with over the past year are, and I've broken them down into different categories: organizational and structural developments. The incoming committee is unconflicted by alternate initiatives and are all paid-up members. All members participate fully. We've had 10 committee meetings, as I said. The ARIC mandate from the CFU has been updated, reaffirming ARIC as a CFU subcommittee and aligning it with international norms and the CFU Constitution. This still awaits formal ratification from the CFU Council. ARIC membership fees are ring-fenced, as I said, and used exclusively by ARIC, and expenditure was as shown in the financial report. There is one vacancy on the committee. On stakeholder engagement and diplomacy, as a constituent of CSC, ARIC has participated in 12 CSC meetings. On the same basis, meetings have been held with EU, the UK, US and Swiss representatives to explain our position and gain support. The President's Office has been appraised of our intentions, and formal letters have been delivered to ministries, embassies, raising the awareness of challenges to our view of the proper resolution of the compensation matter. And more recently, we have met with the Minister of Finance. The Compensation Steering Committee and the Global Compensation Deed. At the last AGM, the new structure of the CSU was in progress, or process, should I say, which process was completed within a few weeks. The CSC appointed Charles Laurie, Adam Pratt and Angus Selby as technical experts. The CSC was formally mandated by ARIC, SACFA and SAIZIM. The GCD status. This remains contentious. Legal opinion on the formal withdrawal by both CFU and SACFA has been obtained. Additionally, as I mentioned, a High Court case was brought against the President of Zimbabwe by 5 war veterans challenging the constitutionality of the GCD, with the CFU President being cited as a respondent. We understand the case has been dismissed. This is not the same as the case against the President of Zimbabwe brought by the same 5+1, challenging the issuing of title deeds, the land tenure policy. There, of course, has been exploitation by parties regarding the old and new CSC. Surveys and data management. Through the CSC, ARIC has been involved in the survey to all title deed holders. The sought to profile our community as a whole and obtain an update on their views. Some of our community did not participate, especially those who are elderly and most vulnerable. This is regrettable, as in our view is regardless of which route one follows for compensation, fallback plans are necessary. And I think that's where we've all gone wrong. None of us have had a fallback. We've had fallback plans for droughts, for disease and all the rest, but none of us had fallback plans for politics. And that's why we're in the position we're in. And so I'm saying to all our members, make a fallback plan now for your compensation and stay in the game for the long term and make sure your legacy is not lost or diluted down to nothing. The salient facts emerging from the 1,008 verified responses representing 1,561 title deeds were 32 of the respondents had received interim relief. 80.8% of respondents would accept the 2020 values with appropriate time-valued corrections. 38.1% of respondents were prepared to wait a reasonable time for payment for improvements. 35.8% were prepared to wait indefinitely for payment for land and improvements, while 24% were prepared to wait indefinitely for recompense for full losses and damages. So that shows you the spread of what our constituents' views are. 55.3% of the respondents were in the 50 to 69 age group, while 26.4% were between 70 and 79. We are encouraging all title deed holders to arrange succession plans and to involve their next of kin in the compensation discussions. We are very indebted to Adam Pratt and his next-gen cohort for their expertise and input on these exercises. This clearly demonstrates the value involving the title deed holder next-gen. On communications, ARIC has made a concerted effort to improve communications with title deed holders. Countering misinformation is ongoing. The ARIC and CSE respect the choice that title deeds make on which route to follow for compensation and makes every effort not to hinder or compromise them, being fully aware that divisions between us as a community only serve to reduce the position of all of us. ARIC and CSE has a policy of not expressing any criticism of title deed entering into direct negotiations with government or accepting the FCA, only stressing the importance of title deed holders clearly understanding the respective risks. On valuation and compensation, ARIC and the CSC have continued to engage with Valcon and Henry Scotcher as professional valuators and recommend any title deed holder who has not had their property valued to do so. ARIC has engaged with government to reinstate interim relief for those who have not signed up to the FCA. On the land tenure policy, whilst there remains no published official policy, a great deal of vagueness surrounds the land tenure issue. On strategic considerations, serious thought has been given to a formal division between active farmers and farmers seeking compensation. I'm hoping Liam will talk to that after this. The agricultural program incorporating compensation continues to be revised in line with ongoing political developments. A clarifying statement is required on the proposed freehold title once the policy is published. A further survey on title deed holders' preferences will be circulated from the CSC in the next month. Thank Georgina Brown. She resigned from the committee due to personal reasons. Georgina was and remains extremely helpful with her diligent and exhaustive work researching issues pertinent to our interests. Thank you, Georgina, who I notice is not here. To the committee, the CSE committee, Liam Philp, for all their support over the last 12 months, many thanks. To our indefatigable secretary, Susie Haynes, aided by Louise, Connor and Rebecca from the CFU, a great many thanks for all the work you do behind the scenes. And that's my report. Is there any discussion on the Chairman's report? There Moving on, could we have a proposer and a seconder? Do we need a proposer and seconder? Yeah, they do. Could I have a proposer and seconder? Dion. Thank you. Liam, it's over. Can I ask you to report on the CFU?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, thank you very much to all of you who've made an effort to come and sit in the hall with us today. And those of you who are joining online, thank you for taking the time. And Susie, thank you for organizing the remote connection for our brothers and sisters and probably uncles and aunts who are living in the diaspora. It's really important to make sure that we have active participation in important matters like this. And I'm very pleased to say that there's been a renewed interest in the activity at ARAC. And it's quite rewarding to see not only the dialogue which is taking place, but the progress which has been made as well. I wanted to take opportunity to touch on a few of the items of progress which I've identified. As many of you know, we at the CFU felt that the CFU position was compromised, representing active agriculture and compensation at the same time. And we tried our best to create an isolation and separation. And I think we've been quite successful on that. At CFU Council, we've got a lot of young faces, active members of the community from across the country who come and have constructive and progressive dialogue on all aspects regarding agriculture. It's quite refreshing leaving the meetings, and that way is very upbeat. On the other hand, we've separated out compensation, which used to dominate a lot of the discussion and eat into the bandwidth of the CFU Council meetings. And the ARAC structure, which accommodates all compensation issues, has been very effective over the last 12 months. As you heard from the Chairman's report, there's been 10 meetings, 10 formal meetings. There's been a lot of engagements outside of the formal meetings, and it's very heartwarming to see the progress which is being made. Thank you to all who have contributed. The Chairman also mentioned that, as we promised, we separated out the financial affairs of the union into farming and non-farming. We did that successfully. We have a separate account at the CFU, which is used for accommodating the ARAC funds. The audit has been undertaken, and it will be presented at Congress. None of the funds from ARAC subs have been used for the CFU operations. All of the overheads have been covered from CFU active farming members. And I must say that it has put a bit of a financial burden on the farming side of agriculture. And we're on a big drive to try and bring in new and old members who stopped participating at the CFU to try and reinforce and grow our agriculture structures. Wins from this year, I've got unity as the first one. It's absolutely remarkable, the unity which has been established and maintained, and it's really important that we continue to do that at all costs. Communication has had a remarkable improvement. A big thanks to our Zambian comrade Gordon, who heads up the communication dissemination. He's like a dog with a bone, chasing us all down, looking for updates to communicate with members. And when members send information to him, he brings it to every ARAC meeting. So he's playing centre forward and doing a fantastic job there remotely. Thank you, Gordon. Participation at the CSC. The CSC is also a remarkable place. There's a lot of positivity. The three main organizations who sit in the CSC are supported by the next gen, as they're termed. They are either title deed holders or sons of title deed holders living abroad with remarkable skills, and their participation and contribution has been second to none. CSC has also had a number of meetings. I think we've had a couple more than ARAC, but it's very progressive and positive dialogue that takes place there as well. The next win is recognition. It's been quite a road. We've got recognition from the international community and fantastic engagements from all ambassadors and IFIs. On very short notice, we're able to get engagements, update, and seek advice where necessary from our important partners abroad. But more importantly, we finally had a breakthrough meeting the Minister of Finance. It's been a long time coming, and there was a recognition that it was time to engage in constructive dialogue. We've had 2 meetings, and a 3rd meeting is scheduled for the beginning of July. Thank you very much to all those who work behind the scenes to pull the levers to facilitate those engagements. The last win, which was notable for me, was the survey. I mentioned the next generation guys living abroad. They put a lot of work into developing a platform to communicate with farmers, to collect information and create a database, and be able to very quickly send out questions and get feedback. You saw some of the questions and responses which the chairman presented. We continue to build this tool, and as we move forward, we think there's going to be increasingly important questions, and those questions need to be answered by you, the members. They're not to be answered by the CSC or the ARAC or SACFA or SAI. It's about the members. So I'm urging all of you, if you're not registered, get registered on the survey database and participate when questions come out. It's really important for the decision makers at the top to know what you feel. If you don't participate, please don't cry foul when decisions are made. Everything is done pragmatically, and there's a fingerprint behind each transaction or set of questions. So it's all documented. It's really important for you to have your say. Moving on, I spoke earlier about the split, which I think we've effected pretty well. But we still continue to have a problem. We've got the ARAC members or non-farming members who are in conflict, not all of them, some of them are in conflict with members who are farming in the agriculture sector, and vice versa. We've got some farmers who clash with title deed holders. And then the president of the CFU has the very difficult job of sitting with one foot on either side of the fence. And it's quite difficult. It's difficult to carry out the role of the agriculture CFU representative, at the same time carrying out the role of representing the displaced farmers and title deed holders. We are going to be discussing at the CFU Congress the thoughts and opinions on how to tackle this. There's a couple of options which are going to be tabled, but when I finish my report, which will be very soon, I would be pleased to get some feedback from the audience here on their thoughts on how we tackle this. Very briefly, the thought is that there has to be a formal separation. Either we have to set up a body which is going to represent ARAC or compensation and leave CFU for active farming, or we have to set up a new farmers union and leave CFU to represent compensation matters. My personal opinion is that it's the choice of the title deed holders, seeing as they are the people who built the union, to decide which way they feel the cards should fall. And then from there, it's up to me to take that information back, dialogue with members of council and the executive committee, and prepare a proposal to be tabled at Congress. So I would look forward to a little bit of input on that. In closing, I just want to give a very big thanks and ask for a round of applause for Ian, who's done a remarkable job steering us through this last year. Some of you might not know, but Ian, as well as being on the ARAC committee, the chairman of ARAC, is also on CSC and is the chairman of the CSC as well. He's been supported by Dion, who's done a fantastic job when Ian hasn't been around. And thank you very much, Dion. And most importantly, Susie, who's our rock. Susie attends all of our meetings, takes our minutes, chases it up, makes sure that we committing to the deadlines which we've undertaken within all the various meetings. And lastly, to Ashley, thank you so much for lending us so much of your husband's time. I can see you winking at the back. Maybe it's a bit peaceful at home. But for all these people, thank you very much. And please can I have a round of applause?
Thanks, Liam. You covered that extremely well. Thank you. Any discussion on Liam's report? I think we specifically would like comment on the split. So we can have feedback on the split. Correct. Dion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Liam, Ian, from our side, thanks to both of you. Liam, you haven't been thanked. Your contribution and leadership has been immense, and I've got huge respect for you. Thank you for that. Just a few comments from my side. And Liam, you touched on it. One of our great achievements has been the unity that we've managed to get, and I'm really grateful for that. You know, it started off, we had the past presidents group, we had the round table, we had Eric, CSC, SACFA, SAI. We've just had so many different bodies, but amazingly, we've managed to unite each and every one of those, and we're working under one big umbrella. With the recent meetings that we've had with the Minister of Finance, it's become very clear that we're moving into the next phase. And so for us on the compensation side, it's hugely important that we now get this right. I think the majority will support the split between the two. How it's best done will be debated, but we've really got to identify the right people now. I think us as farmers have probably done what we could, but it's time to get the real experts involved now on the legal, the financial, even the political side. So what lies ahead of us is to get it right now, to trim it down to possibly one little body of 5 or 6 people, whatever it may be, to represent us on the compensation saga. We've had really good comms with the Germans, who pretty pretty keen to get involved as well. So there's a lot of exciting stuff lying ahead, and I'm very encouraged. I think we're in a very strong position, and I'm grateful for everyone that's played a role in making it possible. But the big thing now for us is to identify the right people going forward, and that's going to be a tough one.
Thanks, Dion. From your comments, if you read between the lines, you'll see what's really been very helpful is the teamwork between everyone that has really come to the fore in this last year. Any other questions or comments on the split? Yeah. Sorry, there's one at the back.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Lawrence Kennedy. I believe CFU is synonymous with the issue of compensation. And in fairness, it's the past farmers of this country who built that union. And I'd strongly advocate that we continue with the compensation at CFU. Thank you.
Thank you. Were you going to say the same? Thanks. Any other views? Liam, it seems fairly clear that
Can I?
You go.
Sue's got a contribution. Maybe let's ask Chris.
Kat Sol, I really believe that we should split. I think that the ARIC should carry on with compensation.
Thanks, Kathy. Jean?
Good afternoon, everybody. Jean Simon. Last AGM, I didn't say a word. Everybody was a little bit shocked. So I decided maybe this time I'll get another go at you. So I'd like to just mention a couple of things. And the first thing, I'm talking about the split. Historically, the CFU has a reputation across the world as being a very good organization. Everybody knows it. And I think that if we parked the CFU only with compensation and left it there, I think we would be doing Zimbabwe a disservice. And I'd like to just explain why. Historically, I come from a family that for 3 generations have been part of the CFU, so I'd like to think that I know a little bit about it, not a lot though. But traditionally what we used to do is that we used to have farmers' associations, and the farmers' associations collected the subs. And then the subs, part of the subs went to the CFU, to the union, and the rest of the subs stayed with the farmers' association. And we have this terrible non-joint teamwork between the old farmers and the new farmers. And the new farmers don't want to have anything to do with us, but they do want everything that we can offer them. So they take all of the stuff that we give them. They take the work we do on ZESA, they take the work we do on GMB, they take the work we do with the banks, they take the work we do with the labor, take all of those things and say thank you very much for it, and they don't pay for any of it. And I think that one way that we could resolve this problem is not to get rid of the CFU as an overall body, but to say to our young new farmers on the land, form your district farmers associations. Pay your subs to the districts, and then take a portion of that money and send it to the CFU for the combined work that we do on your behalf. That means that they are not members of the CFU union. They are members of their farmers' associations. And it may be one way of us getting the youngsters to come back into the team. That's my contribution.
Thanks, Jean. Rusty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to everyone who's done all the work. My name's Rusty Markham. I am of the opinion that whether you like it or not, a split's going to occur. The game that we don't like looking at is the politic, and the chairman can't go there pushing production with the youngsters and then the next day is there talking about compensation, etc. And I do believe that the CFU name, as Jean has just said, means a lot, and it must remain with the compensation because it's the only card that's going to push it internationally. To make it clear, no one is going to pay us compensation other than the international community or help this country to do that. I said that at Northwood and the meeting before. Unless they buy in, we've got less chance and it's going to be a longer road. Where we have a problem is the name CFU. That's the card, because that's who they've dealt with. All the agreements that have been signed in the name of the CFU. However, on the other side, for the youngsters, the government is pushing new names, new policies, new us, new this, look what we do. So they can call themselves the National Farmers Union, they can call themselves the New Farmers Union. But we have to stick with the name CFU if we're going to push this compensation as quickly and as hard as we can. Thank you.
Thanks, Rusty. Graham?
Graham Ross from Headlands. I just want to reiterate what everybody said here, and the reason I say this is, cast your mind back 15 years, maybe longer, in this very hall. I think President Kluti was on the stage, and it was pointed out that we had to keep CFU going because one day CFU would be the body that would represent compensation to the international community. And I think for us to now change that at this late stage and say, well, CFU is going to deal with farming and we're going to have a new body, you're kind of undoing the last 20 years of keeping CFU going for that very reason. It's a difficult task that you and Daniel have got, Liam, with the new farmers, the old farmers, and I'm not sure how you're going to get around the split that Rusty was speaking of, but CFU, I think, is synonymous with compensation, and we can't lose that, the clout that you have internationally.
Thanks, Graham. Any other comments? It appears that the general consensus is that CFU should adopt compensation from this meeting, which is something you can take to Congress. Sorry, Graham, another one? Oh,
Liam, looking at it from your point of view, moving forward, I think CFU could be considered an old man's club. And I think if, you know, rather than you lose something by losing CFU, if you were to move forward and have Zimbabwe Farmers Union or something, Zimbabwe Commercial Farmers Union or something, a change of name would open your doors to bring in more people to join. There's possibly a little bit of a stigma to CFU for new farmers and joint venture people.
Thanks. And in front of you?
I think maybe just to clarify, so CFU and farming, current farming, what's really confusing to everybody is the myriad of different little committees, like somebody said already, SAA, all of them. So what we need is direction from CFU to say, right, this is the one body, and I think it was clearly articulated there, we need professionals, we need a professional body to now take this thing forward under the umbrella of CFU. It's internationally recognized and it's got the clout that it deserves. How we deal with the young upstarts like myself who's still farming, I'm not too sure.
Thanks, Graham. I think that is the general hope that we can do that. Right. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, could we have a proposer and a seconder for the President's report? There you go. Patrick, far away. Far away.
Hi, thanks very much, Em. Sorry to interrupt. I was impressed with all your meetings, 10, 11 meetings for ARIC, and that was complemented by what Liam said. He not only attended many of your ARIC ones, but also the ones at for the CSC, and that contributed. And I congratulate you both for the efforts you've done. But I think it was a little bit shy on telling us what achievements you've made, if I may say. Have you found any funding, or are there any potential funding for this? The outcome of meeting the minister, which was great, where's that leading us to? Are we going to sort out this land tenure issue with the new title deeds? Will they be purchasable by treasury bonds or money, or where are we going to find the money for farmers? Can I perhaps ask the President to reply on that one?
Thanks, Patrick. Actually, what I meant to say at the end of my report, a long and tedious report, but what have we actually achieved? And you'd be right to say very little. But our intention, we've all got the drive to continue fighting for what we think we deserve. We may not have made many strides, much progress, and for all sorts of reasons, which you may be well aware of, we haven't made much progress. And I can now pass that on to Leon.
Thanks, Patrick, for those comments. Just to echo what the chairman said, there's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of restructuring, unity building, and preparation of the recovery plan for agriculture, which is all-encompassing. We feel very strongly that compensation can't be dealt with by itself. There's no way that the economy of Zimbabwe can afford to pay 3.5 billion, which is the Valcon figure for improvements, without a recovery of the economy. So our initiative, which has been developed, a hybrid of a number of very important meetings from Lancaster House through to the Landowner Conference, another land conference in 2008, and other contributions which have been made along the way. All of that information has been analysed, and a very well articulated plan has been put together. The important part now, it's one thing having a plan. The second part is getting buy-in and executing. So we're at that stage now where we are working on the buy-in. It can't be a plan that only suits one party. It has to suit everybody. And we've got three parties we need to consider here. The first party is the title deed holders, and the second party is the government of Zimbabwe and the citizens. And the third party is the international community, including the international financial institutions, the IFIs. So we have to be able to tick all of those boxes of those requisite interest groups. We believe that the document does that. It's a sustainable document, and it's a sustainable plan. It's a plan that will settle fair compensation over a period of time, underwritten by reputable organizations. So we have the plan. We have been frustrated by not having engagements with the minister, as you're well aware. But that door, fortunately, has finally been opened. And we had a very constructive meeting with the minister. The minister is very pleased to know that the plan that we're working towards, for us, it's really important that it doesn't put a burden on the healthcare system of Zimbabwe, nor the education system, nor essential infrastructure. This has to be sustainable. If it's not sustainable, it's not going to work. And we have buy-in at a high level, and now the hard work starts. This is where it's absolutely essential that we have the professionals representing us. It's not a job for clodbusters to go in there and negotiate. We need to be able to have the right people at the right place. And that's the big task. And the next task of the CSC is to rope in individuals. Some of them will have to be remunerated, I'm sure. Most of them, I hope, will do a bit of national service to come and contribute. Because at the end of the day, everybody in Zimbabwe benefits from this. We're talking about 16 million people. This isn't about 2,400 commercial farmers. This is about 16 million people in Zimbabwe. So we're confident. It's been slow, and you're very right. We can't stand up here and say we've got a bond deal or anything to put on the table. But we believe that what we're working towards is solid. It's important that it's underwritten, it's secure, and it also has to be something that the next generation can benefit from for those whose parents have moved on in the interim. There's a couple of other interesting initiatives which we are working on behind the scenes, which I can't disclose here now. But they're quite exciting small initiatives which will help specific groups of farmers. Susie once shared a Shona saying with me, which has been very useful, and that's, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. We believe that your initiative, the Profca initiative, has been one bite out of the elephant. There's a lot more bites to go, and we've all got to work at that to make sure that we can deliver it. So I do hope that at our next AGM, you'll be sitting in the front row to question us and hold us to account. And I do hope that at that point, we'll have some more positive news to report on the traction that we've managed to gain so far. The second part of your question regarding title deeds. The new land policy, which was announced in November last year, is the issuance of new title deeds to beneficiaries of the land reform program. That's permit holders, A2 alpha letter holders, and 99-year leases. To date, about 24 applications, titles have been issued, but there's been a significant number of applications which have been made which have not been processed. It hasn't been taken up as quickly as the state had hoped. A positive which has come out of it is there's 309 farmers who are still on their original properties or a portion thereof, and we've had positive engagement with government, and there's an opportunity for those particular farmers to access the new title deed if they want, and that will be offset against their compensation value. That's going to give a lot of those people the ability, if they wish, to liquidate their asset, perhaps subdivide, transfer it to the next generation or a relative or a third party. And it's going to invigorate agriculture, bringing 309 uncontested properties into the land market, I believe. It's also going to invigorate investment into agriculture for those who have decided to stay and make the most of agriculture. There's a lot of farmers who committed, and this is going to give them the security that they need to access lines of credit. So those titles which are uncontested, that is somebody who has a new title plus the underlying title, I believe will carry some weight with the international banks, which is where the lines of credit are coming from. There's been progress for beeper farmers who are still on their farms, whether they're ratified or not, are going to have their original title reinstated. That's a commitment which has been made from the minister, and we're working on that project. That's another bite out of the elephant. And we're working towards another bite out of the elephant, which is going to be pretty significant to bring down the compensation value and provide additional security for people still out there on the land who don't fall under the 309 offer letter, permit, and 99-year leaseholders. I hope that's answered your questions.
Thanks, Liam. Dion?
Yeah, Liam, thanks. I think you summed up what I was probably going to touch on as well. But Patrick, just to get back to your question, right now for me there's two options basically. The one is to accept the Profca deal. The other option is to keep on fighting for fair compensation. So yeah, maybe we haven't got a piece of paper we can say we've agreed with government, but it's in the process, and I think there's a large majority of farmers that feel that they'll hang on for the second option, and that is to keep on fighting for fair compensation, restitution, equal citizenship. You know, there are a lot of young guys that want to farm. They don't have the same equal rights as some of the other people in Zimbabwe. So, although Profca has reduced the government debt in a small way, it hasn't resolved anything else. And that's the important thing. We've got to work on something that will resolve the conflict. There's a lot of conflict out there. Resolve the issues of people wanting to farm. So, yeah, that's the other option. And I think we will achieve that.
Thanks, Dion. Graham?
From my point of view as a member, if I could just comment on Mr. Ashton's question, what have you achieved? And I know this is not direct to Eric, but more CSC. For me, the biggest achievement is you have met with the minister and you have stated to the minister there is a majority of farmers who have rejected the bond deal and they want fair compensation. So if there's one achievement you've managed in this last year, I think that's, for me, the biggest one.
Thanks, Graham. And let me tell you what an uphill struggle that was. Thanks, Patrick. Any other comments, questions on Liam's report? Certainly, Patrick. We need to move on there.
Thanks, Graham, for your comments there. And you, of course, you're right. There are people who have quite correctly felt very badly done by over the circumstances over the last 20 years. They've lost family under extraordinary circumstances. They've been cheated and so on and so forth. But speaking for those people born in the first half of the last century, I don't think we're going to see the next century. And so we need a resolution. And many of I think I've had about 450 letters of the people who've been involved with getting an allocation, saying how grateful they are that it has pulled them out of poverty. They have nothing. And I don't need to repeat the stories which I have. And if you ask the president, he'll tell you one particular person from Denmark who was there as well. So, yes, we understand it. If you feel you can wait for 4 or 5 years, or whatever it will be, we absolutely respect that entirely. But me, I don't think I've got that many years left, and I need something now. I'm on the bones of my derriere, or as Mr. Trump might say, it might be a bit cruder. So there we go. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Patrick. I think perhaps you missed the point slightly. We're not being critical of people who need it and accept it. That's what our whole thrust is. If you want to do direct negotiations, that's fine. It's your choice. If you want to accept the FCA, it's your choice. Accept it. Both those cases accept the risk. There's a third choice, and we're trying to offer it to people. It is fair compensation, not unfair compensation. But there's a risk to that as well. It's a long road, and we're going to fight it. Those are the choices. And we've taken particular pains not to spike your guns. Please note that. Thank you. Could we draw this to a close on the Chairman's report, President's report, please? Propose in a second, or unless we've already done it. We've done it. Thank you. You interrupted us. Yes, sorry, Patrick. Right. I think we've covered the way forward on ARIC through the President. We're on election of committee members, and that reminds me, Hendrik, your question. From what we can find on the records of the people standing on the previous committee and standing, well, at the last AGM, Rob Mweli-Birch was overdue for 3 years. Tok Arnold was overdue for 3 years. Byron Dardigan was overdue for over 3 years, and that sometimes means 5. Harry Orphanides was overdue for over 3 years. And the people who were nominated, Len Thomas and Richard Taylor, were also overdue for 3 years. Those people on the previous committee who were paid up was Patrick, thank you Patrick, Stuart Beverley, Ian Kay, Ian Gibson, myself, and Adrian Hossack, who resigned from the committee. And I think because it goes back to plus 3 years, those same people were on the committee or involved in the 2023 AGM, which was controversial. Does that answer your question? Moving on to election of committee members. Liam, can I ask you to be the returning officer? We've got one vacancy. Georgina Brown resigned, and we've got one nomination. Graham Hausen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have we had any nominations apart from Graham Hausen? No other nominations. So, seeing as we have one position to fill, one nomination, Graham, thank you for putting yourself forward. Can I ask you to leave the room for a minute, please? Sorry, there's no pub at the back yet. Please, can I confirm the proxies held? How many people here today are holding proxies?
We have 106 proxies.
106 held by one person or more than?
By myself, Ian, and Kim Stewart, and Ian Turan.
Okay. So I think it is a formality, but we need to ensure that we get this right. So could I please have a show of hands for the appointment of Graham to the committee to take up the vacancy which has been made from a resignation of Georgina. Those in favour, please raise your hands. Do you mind doing the count? Okay, I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 24.
Please count again, sorry.
Sorry, please raise your hands high. Okay, so we've got 24 members present in favour, and
Plus 106.
are there any proxy holders who would not carry the vote? No. So I would like to hand back to the chairman. That was unanimous. Sorry, is there anybody who is against the appointment of Graham to the committee? No, so it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Liam. We're on to any other business. Oh, yes, please call him back. Congratulations, Graham. All I can say is be careful what you wish for. What you've got in yourself. Any other business? None? Then all it remains is to thank everyone for attending and contributing so much. Thank you very much. We're closed.